Team 25 of 52 teams of 8 competitive rival wisdoms that help make humanity wiser and kinder with antique quotes that have passed the test of time to encourage, educate and entertain generations for centuries. Team Quote 25.1. Great lives never go out, they go on. Benjamin Harrison, 1833–1901. This is a moving reflection from Benjamin Harrison, the 23rd U.S. President, about the lasting impact of significant lives. What makes it particularly meaningful is how it reframes death, not as an ending, but as a continuation through influence and legacy. Coming from Harrison, who followed in his grandfather's footsteps to become president, and who worked to preserve Civil War veterans' legacies, this sentiment likely had personal resonance. You would have seen how the actions and ideas of great individuals continued to shape events long after their passing. The quote suggests that true impact isn't measured in years lived, but in the ongoing ripple effects of a life well lived, through the people touched, the ideas shared, the changes set in motion. It's about how a person's influence continues to move through time, affecting future generations in ways they might never have imagined. Have you observed this phenomenon? How certain lives seem to maintain their influence long after the person has passed. It's fascinating how some people's impact seems to grow rather than diminish with time. Team Quote 25.2. Reason gains all people by compelling none. Aaron Hill, -1685 to 1750. This is a subtle and sophisticated observation from Aaron Hill, the English dramatist and poet. What makes it particularly insightful is how it captures a paradox about persuasion. That reason is most powerful when it doesn't force itself upon others. The quote suggests that true rational persuasion works by invitation rather than coercion. When people feel compelled or pressured, they often resist, even if the arguments are sound. But when reason is presented in a way that respects others' autonomy, it has the power to win genuine agreement. It's interesting that Hill, who was involved in theater management and literary criticism, would make this observation about the psychology of persuasion. In both drama and criticism, success often depends on engaging audiences and readers, rather than trying to force conclusions upon them. Have you noticed how people tend to resist ideas when they feel pressured to accept them, but might embrace the same ideas when they're allowed to reason things through for themselves? Team Quote 25.3. Everything is sweetened by risk. Alexander Smith, 1830–1867. This is a wonderfully provocative insight from Alexander Smith, the Scottish poet and essayist. What makes it particularly intriguing is how it challenges our usual view of risk as something purely negative, suggesting instead that it adds flavor and meaning to our experiences. Smith is suggesting that the presence of risk, whether in love, adventure, art, or daily life, intensifies our appreciation and enjoyment. Just as a dash of salt can enhance sweetness in cooking, the possibility of failure or loss can make success and achievement taste sweeter. Coming from a poet who lived a relatively short life, but wrote passionately about human experience, this observation feels especially authentic. Smith understood that it's often the uncertain outcomes, the moments when we put ourselves on the line, that make life's victories more meaningful. Have you found this to be true in your own experience? That the things you risked something for ended up meaning more to you than the things that came easily? Team Quote 25.4. Love is the crowning grace of humanity. Petrarch, 1304–1374. This is a beautiful sentiment from Petrarch, the Italian poet and scholar, who helped launch the Renaissance. What makes it particularly meaningful is that he understood love in its broadest sense. Not just romantic love, but love as the highest expression of human potential. Coming from Petrarch, who is famous for his sonnets to Laura, and who also wrote extensively about spiritual and intellectual love, this observation carries special weight. He saw love as transcending mere emotion, to become the quality that most elevates human nature. The use of crowning grace is especially significant, suggesting that love isn't just one virtue among many, but the culminating achievement of human development. Like a crown, it sits above all other qualities and gives them their ultimate meaning and purpose. What's fascinating is how this view influenced Renaissance humanism, helping to shape a new understanding of human dignity and potential. Have you considered how love in its various forms might indeed be what brings out the best in human nature? Team quote 25.5. Have the courage of your desire. George Gissing 1857–1903. This is a compelling exhortation from Gissing, the Victorian novelist who wrote about social realism and struggled against convention throughout his life. What makes this quote particularly powerful is its suggestion that simply having desires isn't enough. We need the courage to acknowledge and pursue them. Coming from Gissing, who defied social norms in both his personal life and his writing, choosing to depict the grittier realities of Victorian society, rather than its polite fictions, this advice carries special weight. He understood firsthand the cost and importance of being true to one's authentic desires, rather than conforming to society's expectations. The phrase cleverly links two concepts we don't often connect: courage and desire. While we typically think of courage in terms of facing danger or adversity, Gissing suggests that it's equally crucial in being honest about and pursuing what we truly want. Have you found that acknowledging and acting on your genuine desires sometimes requires as much courage as facing more obvious challenges? Team quote 25.6. Love is the river of life in the world. Henry Ward Beecher 1813–1887. This is a beautiful metaphor from Beecher, the prominent American minister and social reformer. What makes it particularly powerful is how it captures both the nurturing and dynamic qualities of love. Like a river, love brings life, movement, and sustenance wherever it flows. Coming from Beecher, who was a passionate abolitionist and advocate for social reform, this wasn't just a romantic sentiment. He understood love as a transformative force that could reshape society, much as a river shapes the landscape through which it flows. The metaphor works on multiple levels. Like a river, love can be gentle or powerful, can carve new paths, can overcome obstacles, and is essential for growth and flourishing. Just as a river connects different landscapes, love connects people and communities. And like a river, love isn't static, it's always moving, always renewing itself. Have you noticed how love, like a river, tends to create and sustain life in all the places it touches? Team quote 25.7. A compliment is something like a kiss through a veil. Victor Hugo 1802–1885. This is a wonderfully delicate metaphor from Hugo, the French literary giant known for works like Les Miserables and The Hunchback of Notre Dame. What makes it particularly charming is how it captures both the intimacy and the indirectness of a compliment. The image of a kiss through a veil suggests something that's both intimate and restrained, passionate yet proper, much like a well-crafted compliment. Just as a veil creates a tantalizing barrier between two people, a compliment maintains a certain social distance while still conveying warmth and affection. Coming from Hugo, who was a master of both grand dramatic gestures and subtle emotional nuances in his writing, this observation shows his understanding of the delicate art of human interaction. The metaphor suggests that compliments, like veiled kisses, can be more intriguing and sophisticated than more direct expressions of appreciation. Have you noticed how sometimes the most meaningful compliments have this quality, being both intimate and slightly indirect? Team quote 25.8. He threatens many that hath injured one. Ben Jonson 1572–1637. This is a perceptive observation from Ben Jonson, the English playwright and poet, who was a contemporary of Shakespeare. What makes it particularly astute is how it captures the ripple effect of injustice. When someone wrongs one person, they implicitly threaten all who witness or hear about it. Coming from Jonson, who moved in both theatrical and court circles, and understood power dynamics well, this insight reflects a deep understanding of human society. He suggests that an injury to one person sends a message to many others that they could be next. The quote works on multiple levels. It can apply to personal relationships, workplace dynamics, or broader social and political contexts. When someone demonstrates the capacity to harm others, they create an atmosphere of threat that extends far beyond their initial target. Have you observed this effect? How one person's mistreatment of another can create a wider sense of vulnerability or unease among others. And if you'd like to help raise school test scores and self-confidence, you can give your kids free, easy, extra advantage math, spelling, and reading workbooks you can download for free at stop2think.com or buy at educationstopshate.com. Free easy math wisdom workbooks with octa repetition to grow math self-confidence. You'll get plenty of repetitive practice of age ranges and averages of our 52 teams of 8 quote authors. Free easy alpha cipher-coded puzzles teach letters, numbers, and phrases using antique wisdoms that encourage and educate. Can you decode this cipher quote of encouragement using either our learning to spell or just for fun instructions? And since time is money, practice reading faster with 52 teams of antique rival wisdoms that have passed the test of time to encourage, educate, and entertain generations for centuries. We offer printed versions and timed videos with background music. Sign up for free weekly emails of 52 teams of antique rival wisdom workbooks with easy math, spelling, and reading practice. And if you'd like to get paid for sharing our wearable wisdoms, keep this in mind. Everyone I know wears a shirt, and most of us change them daily, so change your shirt and change the world. Social equality teas are blatantly subliminal antique positive wisdoms, repetitively shared without saying a word. This applies to all our wearable shareable wisdoms, like pretty witty baby onesies and baby teas, that you and others will see and read multiple times a day. The same is true with pretty witty kids, but they'll also share these wisdoms with anyone that can read at daycare or school. Youthful truths let your kids gain confidence, sharing antique wisdoms with their friends. Imagine them sharing words of wisdom with classmates and teachers. I think, therefore I think teas I wear is a super easy way to share words of wisdom that have passed the test of time. Our social equality teas help make us all wiser and kinder, with blatantly subliminal messages, promoting a more fair and equal opportunity society for all. And don't forget our giftwisdoms.com for birthdays and holidays that makes it easy to share the wisdom with clothing, coffee mugs, and magnets. So do the future a favor by encouraging, educating, and entertaining with words of wisdom that have passed the test of time to make us all wiser and kinder. With wearable wisdoms to fit babies, kids, and adults, you can clothe a whole family, city, or state. Join the 52 of 8 today at 52of8.com.